All right, so everyone's thinking about it, right? How do you blow up on Instagram in 2025? We've been digging into a bunch of research, even a whole podcast script on this, and content is king. Yeah, we get that, but there's like a whole other level to this.
What's interesting to me is just how much the focus is shifting towards authenticity
Yeah.
and being really engaged with your followers. It's not just about reaching a ton of people. It's more about, like, are you connecting with the right audience and in a way that matters?
So does that mean just chasing a high follower count is like over? Do lots of followers even matter in 2025?
Ah, that's a good question. Okay, so engagement is super important, obviously, but followers still matter, especially with how the algorithm's supposed to change in 2025. Think of it this way. Having more followers gives you a bigger reach right from the start, and that can make you look more credible, when those algorithm updates start to, like, favor content for smaller, more specific groups.
So more followers now could actually help you later on when the algorithm starts, I guess, like niching down content.
That is interesting. Plus, I mean, it's still kind of like social proof, right? Like if you've got a ton of followers, people might see you as more of an expert or a leader or something.
Exactly. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
all about building that trust early on and showing people you know what you're talking about. But getting the right followers, the ones who actually care about what you're posting, that's becoming super key.
Makes sense. Okay, so let's say you've got a great message ready to attract those followers. What's step one?
Your Instagram profile. Think of it like the first impression. It's got to be good. Like a storefront, If
Yeah.
it's all messy, no one's going to come in.
So how do we make our little storefront stand out? There's so many profiles out there.
Your bio, that's your elevator pitch. Short, sweet, engaging. Don't just say what you do. Use those keywords that show what makes you you. And don't forget a call to action. Tell people what you want them to do. Join your email list, buy your thing, whatever. That's big for 2025. And the profile picture, that's got to be good, right? That's the first visual people see.
100%. It's like your brand, almost like a logo. Make it something people will remember, professional, and make sure it matches, the vibe of everything else you're putting out there.
Okay, profile's looking good, ready to roll. What's next? Content, right? That's where it gets fun.
Absolutely. Content is still king.
Yeah.
But we're talking next level in 2025. Not just pretty pictures. It's high quality visuals, telling stories, creating an experience, drawing people in.
And reels, right? I keep hearing they're going to be huge. Like the future of Instagram.
Reels are game changers, no doubt, especially with shoppable reels becoming a thing in 2025.
Yeah.
The stuff we've been looking at actually suggests people are moving away from just pictures to short videos you can shop right there on the app.
Wait, shoppable reels. Okay, that's wild. But like
Yeah.
making high quality videos can be kind of intimidating. Any advice?
Invest in good lighting and, get some editing tools that are easy to use. You don't need to be like a professional filmmaker or anything. There are tons of affordable options.
Yeah.
The big thing is keeping your reels short and sweet and make sure they're actually interesting to your audience,
Right, right. The script we read talked about some cool trends for reels in 2025. Things like those augmented reality filters, making them more interactive, and even like unedited real-time stuff, creating a more, real and immersive experience.
Exactly. People want that realness. They want to feel connected. And reels are becoming the perfect way to do that.
Yeah.
But don't forget, visual consistency is key across everything.
So like having that same aesthetic for your profile picture, your reels, all of it, so people instantly recognize it's you.
Yeah. It's all about building that brand recognition, creating a feed that looks good and keeps people scrolling.
Okay, so visually stunning reels, check. Consistent aesthetic, check. What else about content in 2025?
One thing that keeps coming up is the importance of these micro communities on Instagram. With how the algorithm's changing, content that starts conversations, it builds a sense of belonging within these smaller, more niche groups can be super valuable.
Micro communities, huh? So it's not just about reaching like everyone anymore. It's about reaching the right smaller group and going deep with them.
Exactly. Think about the conversations happening in your specific niche. What questions are people asking? What are their problems? Create content that sparks those discussions, encourages sharing, makes people feel like they belong.
That's really interesting. Authenticity is going to be huge in 2025, it sounds like. It's not just about the visuals, it's about connecting on a deeper level.
Absolutely. And that brings us to another big thing for 2025, engagement. It's not just a number, it's how you build a community, a real one.
So it's not enough to just post and hope for the best. You got to be in there, talking to people, responding to comments, answering DMs, even just liking their stuff.
Exactly. Instagram's going to be pushing those accounts that are actually fostering connections. The more you engage, the more the algorithm sees you as an active part of the community. And that can help you get seen more in those micro communities we talked about.
So it's like you're building a relationship with your followers and the algorithm.
Exactly. The stronger those relationships, the better you'll do. But, it has to be real.
People can spot a fake from a mile away.
Right. It's like, imagine you're at a party. You wouldn't just walk up to someone, shout your message at them, and walk away.
Oh, gosh, no, that would be awful. So how do you actually build those real connections?
It starts with knowing your audience. Who are they? What do they care about? What are they already looking at online? Once you get that, you can make your content and how you interact with them really speak to them.
Right, so it's like finding that balance between what you want to say and what they actually want to hear.
Exactly. And once you find that, don't disappear. Answer questions, ask your own questions, show people you're not just a brand, you're a person.
Yeah, create that feeling of community, a place where people feel welcome and like part of something.
Exactly. That sense of community, that's what's really going to help you grow on Instagram, especially going into 2025 and beyond.
This is already blowing my mind. Engaging content, real interactions, community building. What else is coming for Instagram in 2025?
Well, collaborations are going to be even bigger than they are now. We're talking about strategic partnerships that can help you reach whole new audiences, especially within those niche communities.
Collaborations, yeah. I've heard they can be really effective, but to be honest, the whole thing sounds kind of overwhelming. Where do you even start?
It's all about strategy now. You can't just reach out to anyone with a bunch of followers anymore. In 2025, you need to find those micro-influencers, the creators whose audience perfectly matches your target market.
Micro-influencers. Okay, so people with smaller followings, but who are like super engaged with their audience.
Yes, they have a much stronger connection with their followers, so people trust their recommendations more.
So where do you find these micro-influencers?
Think about it this way. Who's already influencing the people you want to reach? Who are they following? Start by looking at the people who are already liking your stuff, and then see who they're following.
That's actually really smart. Okay, so I'm scrolling through and I see someone who seems like a good fit. What then? Just slide into those DMs.
Well, yeah, direct messaging can actually work. But before you do, make sure their values match yours, and their audience is really the same as your target audience.
Right, so find those authentic partnerships, people who get what you're doing and can share that with their followers in a way that feels real.
Exactly. And when you find the right people, it can be amazing.
All right, collaborations, check. What about hashtags? Are they still a thing in 2025 with all these algorithm changes? I feel like everyone's saying they're dead.
Hold on, they're not dead yet. They can still help people find you, especially within those micro communities. Hashtags are like signs pointing people to your content within a specific niche.
So if you're using super specific hashtags that your ideal customer is already searching for, you're more likely to pop up for them.
Exactly. It's like you're talking directly to the people you want to reach. And another thing, you've got to be doing your research on niche hashtags in 2025. Don't just use the generic ones. Really dig into what your audience cares about.
Okay, got it. Niche-specific hashtags, check. But how do you actually choose the right ones? I always get a little lost with that part.
Imagine you are your ideal customer.
Right.
What would you type in to find the kind of stuff you're creating? What are their hobbies, their problems? Use that to come up with relevant hashtags.
That is so helpful, thinking about it that way. So don't just use the popular ones. Use the ones your perfect customer is actually searching for.
Exactly. Oh, and another tip, check out what hashtags your competitors are using. It can give you some ideas and show you what's working in your niche.
Okay, feeling much better about hashtags now. So we've got collaborations, hashtags, this whole focus on building those micro communities. What else about Instagram in 2025?
Okay, there's one more thing that's kind of at the heart of all this, and it's easy to forget in the world of social media.
Ooh, lay it on me. What's the secret?
Patience.
Patience. But everything moves so fast online.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But you can't build a real engaged following overnight. It takes time, it takes effort.
So we're talking long game here.
Exactly. Focus on making great content, building those relationships, engaging with your community. Do it consistently, and the results will come. But it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Deep breaths. Gotta remember, it's a marathon. But it's so hard when it seems like everyone else is blowing up overnight. How do you stay motivated?
That's a great question, and it's something we're going to dig into even more in the next part of our deep dive. But for now, remember this. What makes you different, your unique voice, those are your superpowers. Don't compare yourself to others or try to be someone you're not.
So it all comes back to being authentic.
Yes, people are drawn to authenticity.
Oh.
Be real, people can feel it, and they'll connect with your message.
Okay, feeling inspired. So we've covered a lot about what's changing on Instagram in 2025, the importance of authenticity, those micro communities, being patient, and putting in the work.
And we talked about optimizing your profile, making engaging content, collaborations, and using hashtags strategically.
But there's so much more, right?
Oh, absolutely. In part 2, we're going to get even deeper. We'll talk about strategies to really maximize your reach and make an impact on Instagram in 2025. Get ready to level up your Instagram game.
Okay, we're back, ready to go even deeper into Instagram in 2025. Part 1, we talked about all the changes coming, and honestly, I'm still thinking about all the possibilities.
Yeah, it's a pretty exciting time to be on Instagram. There's so much happening, so many new things to try.
Totally. So we talked about the basics, right? Optimizing your profile, creating engaging content, building that community, those strategic collaborations. But now we need to level up. What are some of those more advanced strategies that can really make a difference in 2025?
You know, all that tactical stuff we talked about, that's all important. But it's like, those are the tools. To really master Instagram, especially in 2025, we need to get into the, psychology of it all. Why do people follow? Why do they engage? Why do they stick around?
Ooh, I like that. So it's not just about the technical stuff. It's about understanding what makes people tick. Give me the inside scoop. What's the psychology behind a killer Instagram presence?
Well, think about you, right? Why do you follow certain accounts? What makes you hit that like button or leave a comment?
I guess I follow accounts that inspire me, make me laugh, teach me something new, you know? I engage when I feel like I really connect with the person behind the account or when the content just speaks to me, you know what I mean?
Exactly. People follow accounts because they're looking for something. Maybe it's entertainment, maybe it's information, inspiration, connection, maybe even just wanting to feel like they belong. If you can tap into that, you'll make a much bigger impact.
Okay, so I need to think about what I'm giving to my audience on a deeper level. What's the real value I'm bringing? It's not just about posting a pretty picture. It's about creating something that really speaks to their needs, what they want.
Right. And that's where being authentic comes in. Big time. You can't fake it. People can see right through that. In 2025, it's all about being real, showing a little vulnerability, making that genuine connection.
It's funny, authenticity keeps coming up like it's the thing for 2025. How do you balance that with being strategic? It feels like there's this pressure to be perfect online, you know?
That's a good point. It's something a lot of creators struggle with. It's about finding that sweet spot where you can be yourself, but also be aware of what your audience wants.
Okay, I see that. Being real, but also being smart about it. But with so much going on, so much competition, how do you make sure you actually stand out?
That's where your unique value proposition comes in. What makes you different? What are your stories? What perspective do you bring that no one else does?
So it's about figuring out what makes me special, what I'm passionate about, and then sharing that with my audience.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to, niche down. Focus on a specific area. The more specific you are, the easier it is to stand out and attract the people who are really interested in what you have to offer.
Right. Be a big fish in a small pond.
Yeah.
But niching down, it can feel scary, like you're limiting yourself. What if I'm interested in lots of things, or I'm not sure what my niche is yet?
That's totally normal, and it's something you can play around with. Try different types of content, see what people respond to, and pay attention to what you enjoy making. You might discover your need organically, over time.
I like that. It's a journey, not a destination. Okay, so we've talked about understanding our audience, what makes them tick, and figuring out our unique value. How do we actually put this into practice? What can our listeners do?
One thing that often gets overlooked is having a solid content strategy. It's more important than ever going into 2025.
Okay, content strategy. I hear that all the time, but I'm not sure I really get it.
Think of it like a roadmap for your content. It tells you what you're going to create, when you're going to post it, and why. Having a plan keeps you organized, helps you stay consistent, and keeps you focused on your goals.
So no more just posting whatever whenever. I need an actual plan.
Exactly. It's like you wouldn't build a house without a blueprint, right?
True. I'd probably end up with a pretty wonky house. So what does a good content strategy look like for Instagram in 2025?
First, you've got to figure out your content pillars. These are the main themes or topics that you'll consistently create content around.
So like if I'm a food blogger, my content pillars might be recipes, cooking tips, restaurant reviews.
Exactly. Your content pillars should match your niche and what your audience is into.
Yeah.
It gives your content that structure and consistency so people know what to expect from you,
Yeah.
why they should follow you.
Okay, that makes sense. So you've got your content pillars figured out. What's next?
It's time to make a content calendar. That's a schedule that tells you when you're posting, what you're posting, and where you're going to promote it all.
So literally a roadmap for my content.
Exactly. A content calendar helps you stay organized and on track. Plus, you can plan ahead and create a bunch of content at once, which saves you so much time.
Okay, I can see the value in that. Any tips for creating a good content calendar? Do I have to plan out every single post for the whole year?
That might be a bit much. Start with figuring out how often you can realistically post and stick to it. Whether it's every day, a few times a week, or just once a week, consistency is key.
So find that rhythm that works for you and your audience.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to try different things. See what gets the most engagement and tweak your calendar as you go.
And once you've got that posting schedule figured out, you can start adding in your content ideas.
Yep. Think about all the different things you can create. Photos, videos, reels, those stories, carousels, going live. Keep things interesting for your audience and don't be afraid to try different formats.
And don't forget about repurposing. You can take one piece of content, like a blog post or a YouTube video, and turn it into multiple Instagram posts, stories, even reels.
That's a great point. Repurposing is a great way to maximize your reach and really get the most out of what you create.
Okay, so content pillars, content calendar, repurposing. What else do we need to know about creating content that actually gets people to follow in 2025?
Well, remember all that stuff we talked about. Authenticity, micro communities, that needs to be a part of everything you create.
So it's not just about pretty pictures or sharing information. It's about starting conversations, making people feel like they belong, getting them involved.
Exactly. Think about how you can use your content to build relationships, encourage interaction, create that community feeling. Ask questions in your captions, respond to comments, create things that encourage people to share their own experiences and ideas.
So it's about making your content a two-way street, not just a one-way broadcast.
Exactly. The more you can create a space where people feel welcome and valued, the more successful you'll be.
Okay, I'm getting it. It's not just about what you post. It's about the energy, the intention behind it. But let's be honest, creating all this stuff takes a lot of time and energy. How do you stay motivated and avoid burning out? It's easy to get caught up in the comparison game and feel like you're not doing enough.
You're so right. It's easy to compare yourself to others and feel like you're falling behind.
Totally. I've been there. So what are your tips for staying motivated and avoiding burnout?
Well, first things first, remember your why. Why did you start creating in the first place? What message do you want to share? What impact do you want to make?
It's so easy to forget that when you're caught up in the day-to-day of it all.
Exactly. So take some time to reconnect with your purpose. Write down your goals, your vision, your why. Look at them often.
Okay, remember my why. Check. What else?
Celebrate the wins, even the small ones. It's easy to get caught up in trying to be perfect and forget to appreciate how far you've come.
Yeah, we're always focused on what's next, what we can do better, and we forget to just enjoy the moment,
Right. So celebrate your wins, no matter how big or small. Hit a follower milestone. Got a great comment. Made a piece of content you're really proud of. Celebrate it.
I love that. Celebrating those wins definitely helps keep you going. What's another tip to avoid burning out?
Don't be afraid to take breaks. You need to step away and recharge, both creatively and emotionally.
It's so easy to get sucked into constantly scrolling and feeling like you need to be creating all the time.
Yeah. So make sure you schedule breaks into your day or your week. Go for a walk, hang out with friends or family, read a book, do something that has nothing to do with Instagram.
Okay, take breaks. Check. What's your last tip for staying motivated?
Find your people. Surround yourself with a supportive community. Connect with other creators. Join online groups. Go to events. Having people who understand what you're going through, the ups and downs of creating, it can make a huge difference.
It's like having your own cheerleading squad, people to celebrate with, brainstorm with, and vent to when you need to.
Exactly. They can offer insights, feedback, support. All of that can help you grow.
Okay, so we talked about the psychology of our audience, finding our unique value, creating that content strategy, and staying motivated. But there's one thing we haven't really talked about yet. The algorithm. It feels like this big mysterious thing that controls everything.
Yeah, it can feel that way. It's always changing, and it can be confusing. But the good news is we can work with it, not against it.
Okay, I'm all ears. How do we make the algorithm happy in 2025?
Well, first of all, it loves consistency. It rewards those accounts that post regularly on a schedule.
So no more posting like crazy for a few days and then going silent for weeks. Oh, guilty.
We've all been there. But try to stick to a schedule, whether it's daily, few times a week, whatever works for you. The algorithm sees consistency as a sign that you're reliable and valuable, and it's more likely to show your stuff to people.
Okay, consistency, check. What else?
Engagement. We talked about this before, but it's worth repeating. The algorithm loves to see people interacting with each other, having real conversations.
So likes, comments, shares, saves, replies to stories, all that.
Exactly. The more people are engaging, the more the algorithm thinks your content is good and shows it to more people.
It's like a snowball effect, right?
Mm-hmm.
More engagement leads to more visibility, which leads to more engagement.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to create content that gets people talking. Ask questions, run polls, use those interactive stickers in your stories. Make your audience feel like they're part of the conversation.
Consistency and engagement. Got it. Anything else?
Relevance. The algorithm is always watching what your followers are doing, trying to figure out what they're interested in. So the more your content matches their interests, the more likely they are to see it.
So it's not just about getting any engagement. It's about getting engagement from the right people, the people who actually care about what I'm doing.
Exactly. And the better you know your target audience, the better you'll be able to create stuff they love, which makes the algorithm happy too.
Okay. Consistency, engagement, relevance. I'm starting to see a pattern here. The algorithm likes accounts that are reliable, engaging, and provide value to their audience.
You got it. It's not that complicated, but you do need to be intentional about it.
So it's not about trying to trick the algorithm. It's about creating something genuine that people actually enjoy.
Yes. And when you do that, the algorithm will reward you.
Okay, I'm feeling a lot better about the algorithm now. But it can be unpredictable, right? Sometimes it feels like you're doing everything right and nothing's happening.
I hear you.
Yeah.
It can be frustrating. But the best thing you can do is focus on what you can control. Making great content, engaging with your audience, using all the tools Instagram gives you.
So play the long game, right?
Yeah.
Focus on building that community, not on quick fixes or hacks.
Exactly. The algorithm is always changing, but good content and real engagement, those are always going to be important.
That's reassuring to hear. Speaking of things that are always changing, we're hearing a lot about new features coming to Instagram in 2025. What have you found?
Oh yeah, 2025 is going to be huge for new features. Lots of focus on e-commerce, immersive videos, and new tools for building stronger communities.
Wow, that sounds exciting. Tell me more.
Well, one of the biggest trends is social commerce. You can already buy things on Instagram, but it's going to get even easier.
So shoppable posts and stories are just the beginning.
Exactly. Think like full shopping experiences, personalized recommendations, even trying on clothes virtually with augmented reality.
Wait, that's amazing. Social media and online shopping are becoming the same thing? What about these immersive video experiences?
With TikTok blowing up and everyone loving those short videos, Instagram is going all in on video too.
So even more reels. That seems to be the theme here.
Yep. Reels are going to be huge in 2025 with even more features to make them more engaging and immersive.
I'm so curious, what kind of new features?
Well, for what we've seen, Instagram is playing around with things like 360-degree videos, interactive elements you can add to Reels, even letting multiple people work on a single reel together.
Wow, that's incredible. The possibilities are endless.
They really are. And all these new things are designed to make it a better experience for everyone and to help people connect more deeply.
So it's not about making it more flashy, it's about making it more valuable and meaningful.
Yes. And for creators and businesses, it's about using these new tools to tell stories, connect with people, and reach their goals.
Okay, so much good stuff in this part of our deep dive. We talked about the psychology of Instagram, having that content strategy, staying motivated, and working with the algorithm.
We even touched on those exciting new features coming in 2025. It's going to be a whole new Instagram.
But we're not done yet, right? There's still one more big piece of the puzzle to talk about.
You got it. In part 3, we're going to dive into the world of analytics and using data to make better decisions on Instagram in 2025. Get ready to unlock the secrets hiding in your data.
Okay, we're back for the final part of our deep dive into Instagram growth in 2025. It's been a wild ride so far, right? From psychology to all those crazy new features. I feel like my head is spinning.
I know, right? It's a lot to take in, but it's exciting stuff.
Definitely exciting. So we've talked about how to optimize our profiles, create a killer content strategy, stay motivated, even work with the algorithm. But there's this one part we haven't really touched on, and to be honest, it's the part that kind of scares me. Analytics. I know they're important, but all those numbers and graphs, yikes.
I totally get it. Analytics can seem intimidating, but think of them less like a scary test and more like a secret weapon,
Oh.
like a treasure chest full of insights just waiting for you to discover them. They can help you stop guessing and start making really smart decisions based on real data.
Okay, you've got my attention. So why should our listener care about analytics? What's in it for them?
Imagine having like a map that shows you exactly what your audience loves, what they're not into, and where the biggest opportunities are. That's what analytics can do.
So it's not just about those vanity metrics like how many likes you get?
No, not at all. Likes and followers are good, but they only show you part of the picture. Analytics can tell you so much more about your audience, like what they do, what they like, what makes them click that like button or leave a comment.
Okay, I'm starting to see why this is important. So where do we even start? What numbers should we be looking at?
Well, the first one is pretty basic. Follower growth. It's simple, but it tells you how well your overall strategy is working.
So if I'm getting new followers who are actually my ideal audience, that means my content is working, right?
Exactly. But if your follower count is flatlining, that's a sign you might need to switch things up.
Follower growth, check. What else?
Reach is another big one. It tells you how many people are actually seeing your posts, even if they don't follow you yet.
So the more people who see it, the more chances of getting new followers and more engagement.
Yep. And here's where it gets interesting. In 2025, reach within your specific niche is going to be even more important than just overall reach, with the algorithm changes and how it's going to prioritize content for those smaller interest-based communities we talked about.
Right, right. It's about reaching the right people, not just anyone.
Exactly. And that's why knowing your audience is so important. Analytics can tell you who your followers are, what they like, where they're from, all that good stuff.
So it's like having a cheat sheet for understanding your audience.
Pretty much. You can use that information to create content that they actually want to see. And that brings us to another key metric, engagement rate. This tells you how much people are interacting with your content.
So it's not just about how many likes or comments I get, it's about how many people are engaging out of the people who see it.
Exactly. A high engagement rate means your content is hitting the mark and you're building those real connections.
Okay, I'm getting the hang of this. Follower growth, reach, engagement rate. What else should I be looking at?
Well, if you're using Instagram to promote a website or sell something, then you also want to track things like website clicks and conversions.
So it's not just about what happens on Instagram, it's about how Instagram is helping my business in the real world.
Exactly. Your Instagram strategy should be working towards your overall goals, whether that's getting more traffic to your website, getting leads, making sales, or just getting your name out there. Analytics can help you see if you're on track.
Got it. So we've talked about some important metrics, but how do we actually use this data? It can feel overwhelming, all those numbers.
Don't worry. You don't need to be a math whiz to understand this stuff. The key is to start small and focus on the things that matter most to you.
So don't try to track everything all at once.
Right. Choose a few key metrics and then add more as you go. Instagram's built-in analytics tools are a great place to start. They're pretty easy to use.
And there are those other tools out there too, right? The ones that can give you even more detailed information.
All tons of them. But even with the fanciest tools, the most important thing is to actually use the data to make decisions. Don't just collect it and do nothing with it.
So it's not just about tracking the numbers, it's about figuring out what they mean and how to use them to make things better.
Exactly. It's a cycle. You gather the data, you look at it, you make changes, you gather more data, and so on. You're always learning and improving.
Okay, I like that. It's about being proactive. Can you give me an example, like a real-life situation where we use this data to make a change?
Sure. Let's say you've been tracking your engagement rate and you see that it's been dropping for a few weeks.
Uh-oh. What should I do?
First, don't freak out. Just start asking questions.
So like play detective. Figure out why it's happening.
Exactly. Think about the timing. Did you change anything about your content around the same time the engagement started dropping? Maybe you started posting more reels or talking about something different.
Or maybe I stopped using good hashtags or stopped replying to comments as much.
Those are all good things to consider. You can also look at each post individually. Are some types of posts doing worse than others? Are there certain times a day when your engagement is lower?
Okay, so I'm gathering all this information, looking for patterns. What then?
Once you have an idea of what might be causing the problem, it's time to test it out.
So if I think my engagement is down because my content isn't interesting to my audience anymore, I should try creating things they're more into right now.
Exactly. Or if you think it's because you're not posting enough or posting too much, try changing up your posting schedule and see what happens.
And if I think I've been ignoring my followers, I should start talking to them more, answering questions, making them feel seen.
Yes, use the data to figure out what needs work, and then try different things until you find what works best for you and your audience.
I'm loving this. It feels so much better to approach Instagram with like a strategy based on real information. But I gotta say, analytics can be a bit boring, all those numbers. Can we make them more fun?
Absolutely. Analytics don't have to be a drag. They can be super exciting, especially when you start to see those patterns and figure things out. It's like solving a puzzle.
I like that, a puzzle. So it's not just about staring at spreadsheets all day.
Nope. There are tons of tools that can help you visualize your data and make it more interesting to look at.
Tell me more.
Well, a lot of those analytics platforms let you create custom dashboards with charts, graphs, all that, to make the data easier to understand. You can even set up alerts that tell you when something important happens.
So like a notification that says, congrats, your engagement rate just hit a new record.
Exactly. It's a fun way to stay motivated and celebrate your progress. There are even some platforms that make it like a game. You get points and rewards for using data to make your strategy better.
Okay, I officially love analytics. I thought they were going to be this scary monster, but they're actually really helpful.
I told you.
Yeah.
And remember, analytics are just one part of the puzzle. The most important thing is to create great content, build those relationships, and be yourself.
Awesome advice. So as we wrap up this epic journey into the world of Instagram in 2025, what's the one big thing you want our listeners to remember?
Be ready for anything. Instagram is always changing, and that can be a little scary, but it's also exciting. Stay curious, try new things, and let the data guide you. You've got this.
I love that. Embrace the change, stay curious, and don't be afraid to experiment. And most importantly, have fun.
Absolutely. Instagram is all about connecting, being creative, and building community.
And that's a wrap on our deep dive into Instagram growth in 2025. We had a blast exploring all this with you. Now go out there and make some Instagram magic.
Yes, go get them. We'll see you next time.